Okay, we are back in the conference room for another review today. I have been wanting to do this episode for a really long time. I think it's a very important episode. And I feel like up until maybe 2 months ago, I had probably 90% of what I needed. I felt like something was missing. And it wasn't that I couldn't put together an episode that would be informative and would check all of the little boxes in terms of giving you some good content, especially for your car, which is what we're going to talk about today. But I just felt like I didn't have a complete list. I felt like there was something else that would come along that would contribute to this episode. And finally it did. And so that is going to be our number one item that we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to do a little countdown from 5. I have 5 really crucial items that you need to have in your emergency car kit or car emergency kit, however you want to say it. Speaking of emergency kits, we are no longer selling the emergency bag tags that I talked about in that episode. They are still really important and I am still going to do them. I'm going to sell them, but they are moving from Etsy over to the new website. And I just have not had time to do that. I also want to kind of spruce up the inventory a little bit, and I want to give a couple of more options. So stay tuned for that. The new website is thelabelledorganizingpodcast.com. As I mentioned before, we got rid of the old website. I'm not even going to tell you what it is if you're just now joining us, so that way you don't go there by accident. You actually want to type in www.thelabelledorganizingpodcast.com. Now, today is going to be strictly Amazon products. And yes, I may make a commission if you choose to click on any of the links in the description. I do want to be upfront and honest about that. However, as I've mentioned in other episodes, my review cannot be bought. So everything that I am going to recommend in this episode is something I actually own. And if I don't own it, I will actually put in the description that it's an alternate option to something that I have. Because now that I've waited so long to do this episode, there is one item out of the 5 that is no longer available on Amazon. However, there are probably 2 or 3 other similar items, and there is a range as far as budget. So when we get to that item, I will explain that a little bit better. For now, let's go ahead and talk about what comes in at number 5 on the list. Now, again, I just want to say none of these items really deserve a number 5 rank. It's just that I have to make a decision. I have to decide what's going to be number 5 and what's going to be number 1. I'm really looking more at what is something that you could put aside for later as far as number 4 and number 5 on the list that you could put aside and maybe get later if budget is an issue for you. But if you're like, hey, I actually want to put together a really good, concise car emergency kit, and I am open to whatever you suggest, then I will put everything in the description and then also give you alternate options for even the things that come in a little bit less expensive. That way you've got a little bit of a variety. But without further ado, let's talk about number 5. Excuse me. So number 5 is going to be from Road Hero. This is amazing. This is a pop-up traffic cone. And I'm going to try to do this without making too much noise into the mic. But see how literally you just pull on it and it pops up into a full-size cone. Now this is like a really nice fabric that would be similar to like maybe a rain jacket or like a weatherproof tote that you would carry your groceries in. It is thin, but each little section here, if you actually can hear that crunching, there's plastic underneath there. So every section has a ring just like this top one, which gives it its structure. And what's awesome about this, and I don't have it with me, I actually gave it to my mom. It comes in a plastic bag with a handle, and it actually comes in a set of 4, the one that I got. I did look today because I was curious to see if there were other options, and there are. I think you can get a set of 2, and I think it goes up to like a set of 20. Now, the 4-pack that I got, when I checked the price today, and obviously I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but when I checked the price today, I think the pack of 4 was around $22, and there may have been a sale from maybe 25 or something. But again, if there's a 2-pack, that's going to be cheaper. I think the 20-pack is over $100. I think it's like, I don't know, 110 or 120. But if you are marking off parking, and I know it's late summer, so it's not really graduation season, but if you are marking off parking on your street for a garage sale for your kid's graduation, if you are in a parking lot and you are doing a function, what's great about these is you don't have to lug all of those big, dirty, heavy traffic cones. You can actually use these. Now, why I got these, obviously, since we're doing a car emergency kit, is because I wanted these for when I traveled. A lot of times when I travel, it's just me and my 12-year-old son. So if we broke down on the side of the interstate, you know how fast people drive, and you know that even though they're supposed to move over for stranded motorists, a lot of people don't do that. What I love about these cones, now I'm down to my last one and I'll tell you the story in just a second, but what I love about these cones is that they come in a pack of 4. So you could actually put one out. This is what I would do. I would put one out almost in the far right-hand lane of the interstate. If you're stuck on the interstate, I would actually put one out a little bit so that people are forced to get over into the next lane, and then you kind of work backward to where they're lined up behind your car so that people, just like they would for construction, they can actually start merging before they get super close to your car. Now, obviously, a lot of people aren't going to pay attention no matter what is in front of them, but these gray pieces right here are the reflectors. So if it's nighttime, then they're going to be able to see this and at least see that something is there. And like I said, if you put them in a line pattern, then hopefully they will see that there's a pattern that they need to move over for you. And whether it's dark, whether it's in the middle of the day, having something like this is at least going to make you more visible. That you're not just an abandoned car on the side of the road, that you're actually somebody that's waiting for a tow truck or for law enforcement. And so I love these. I actually put one of these when we were at the old house. I put one of these out in the driveway and I put a sign on it that said recording in progress because we had a lot of solicitors come to the house. And so I would have loved to be able to keep this out at the end of the driveway all day, every day, but you know, it's an eyesore. But when I really did need to record important projects, not that this isn't important, but when I had to record like audiobooks and I absolutely could not have somebody knock on the door, I would put one of these either in the driveway so that people wouldn't pull all the way up to the house, or I would put one of these on the porch, and that way it was extra important that, hey, there's this big orange cone. Do not come up here because we're busy. So that's Road Hero. Like I said, there's a pack of 4. The story that I'm going to tell is I started out with 4. My mom came to town. This was probably a year or 2 ago. I've had these. I haven't had to use them that often, but if you look right here, see it's hollow inside. So you don't have to worry about if, they get moisture in the top, like if it rains, it comes right out the bottom. Anyway, so my mom came to town and I had just gotten these and I said, hey, there's 4. I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 and I'm going to give you the bag that they come in. And I want you to keep these in your car. And that way she was able to leave to go back to Indiana and she at least had 2 cones. That made me feel better because that way if she got stranded on the side of the road, she could put 1 or 2 out, or in a pinch, especially at nighttime, you could take one of these and wave it around and actually wave down somebody to come help you. Now, I always encourage you, especially if you're a female, to call law enforcement first. Or call for a tow truck, call your insurance company. But I immediately would get out and at least put one of these just to the back of the driver's side and get that line started first as soon as you know that you're having trouble and you need to be on the side of the road. Obviously, there's a lot of other things you can do with these, but it comes in at number 5 on my list just because compared to everything else that's on the list, this is the one thing that I would definitely recommend if you have the budget. Like if you decide to go get some of the other stuff first, I completely understand. You can always come back to these and see, look, I mean, and you can even be sloppy with this. You don't even have to be perfect. See how it's kind of sloppy right here? When you start just pushing on it, it doesn't have to even be perfect. See how it all just goes back into place really quick? I'll do it one more time. So you literally can have it popped out that quick. And then you push on it and see how it's all, it looks like it's not going to go back, doesn't it? But look, all you have to do, I mean, it literally pushes it back into place the way that it's supposed to. What I love about this, it makes it super durable because look, even when it got to about right here, didn't you think it was going to break? It doesn't. It knows where to go. You just have to get all of the parts in there. And once you start pushing around, they just go right back into place. So again, you can start out with 2 of these. You can do the 4-pack like I did. I think all of them come with a bag. The size on this one, if you're curious, I always measure things against my head. So for those of you watching on YouTube, see it against my head. I guess my head is 18 inches. I know they have a bigger size. I don't know if it's a 22 or a 24, but I know that there's something with a 2. There's a slightly bigger size. And so this is the 18 inch, and then you can also get them bigger. So that's number 5. Also for you, those of you watching, it is late in the day, and as you can see, the sun has decided to join us. So apparently, I'm in the wrong place right now for sunset, but that's okay. Audio is the biggest thing. As long as you guys can hear this, and as long as you can go to the description and click on the link, if you're interested in any of this, then that's really all that matters. I have a client that tells me I look tired anyway, so maybe a little bit of sun on my face will not make my eyes look so puffy. So like I said to him, every woman loves to hear that. Okay, number 4 on the list is a very, very simple solution. It doesn't take up any space at all. Hot Hands hand warmers. These are so important for winter, you guys. They're so important because these can prevent you from getting frostbite. If you are stranded on the side of the road and it's wintertime, even if it's not snowing, even if it's really not that cold to you, if all of a sudden your car dies and you don't have any heat at all, you can open these up. Obviously, this is a pack of 2 in here. I say obviously, I guess it isn't that obvious. So there's a pack of 2 in here, and you would just peel these open. Yeah, see where it says open here? You peel these open. You've got one for each hand. The other way I have used these is if you have to stand outside for a long period of time, maybe you're going to your kid's sporting event and it's winter time and it's rainy and gross, or maybe you're going for a hike and your socks get a little bit wet, you can actually shove one of these in each shoe. Now they do heat up pretty good. There have been times where I've put one in each shoe and it's gotten right up against my big toe. And I'm like, ooh, that's probably gonna burn a little bit. So you got to be careful. You don't want it right up against the skin, like in the shoe, pushed up against your toe, because depending on how thick your sock is, I mean, I guess technically you could burn your toe, but these are great. I actually bought these in a pack of 40, I believe, and I think they were like, I don't know, $25. The reason I got so many, I got these late fall. We kept trying to do really nice things for the crossing guard that was at my son's school a couple years ago. And so every few days I would take a handful of these and just hand them over to him while we were pulling into the school. And then I also took some up to all of the teachers. And then there were some volunteer parents that stood outside the front to like greet the kids when they came in. They would keep these in their pockets, and then that way they could open them up and hold on to them, especially if they're outside for 30, 40 minutes in really, really cold temperatures. These are great. Having these in your car, along with a little travel blanket, which I don't have with me today, but at one point I did have a little travel blanket. You can even get the type of blanket that's more of like a foil blanket that kind of holds in the heat, and you can wrap yourself in that. People forget that when they break down, sometimes they may have to walk. Depending on how close you are to an exit, maybe you're on a back road, maybe you don't have cell service and you're on a back road and your car breaks down, and maybe you've got another hour of daylight and you're like, okay, I know I'm not that far from the main road, but I want to make sure that I'm not stuck in the freezing cold. I at least want to be able to go wave someone down on the main road. That's when I would take these. You can put them in your pocket. You can fold it up like this and just shove it in your coat pocket. I would actually keep one of these in everybody's pocket in their winter coat. I would always have one in there for every member of the family. So if you get the 40 and it's just one person, like it was just me and my son, and then we actually gave some away to the school, and I think this is one of maybe 3 or 4 we have left from 2 years ago, then I would keep one in every coat so that way whenever you're at a game or you're just traveling in the car, not only do you have a coat that you can wear, but you also have some of these. And then I get those really cheap gloves that are like $2 a piece. They used to sell them at Target. They probably still do. And they probably sell them on Amazon. But they're like those really cheap little black gloves that you can kind of roll together and it makes a ball that's like this big. I would almost take a little thing of those gloves and a few of these and put them in a little Ziploc bag, like a sandwich bag. Put that in your car kit. That way, if you are stranded and your quote unquote main gloves are at home because, maybe you weren't expecting it to be that cold on that day that you were traveling, at least you have something and you can pull it out of your emergency car kit. Okay. So that is number 4. Number 3 is from Carsun, Carsun. I believe that is this one. I don't think it's actually written on there. That's why I'm trying to make sure I remember. Oh, it is. It is written on the back in very, very tiny letters. So this is a tire pressure pump. This is a digital pump. And so I also quickly want to just say this. When I started the Becoming Handy series, I initially did it because I have run into a lot of women over the years, especially. There are men that don't know what they're doing as far as tools and fixing things and knowing about some of the things that you need to know about as far as your house and your car and all of that, I started the Becoming Handy 101 because I just wanted people to feel a little bit more comfortable doing some basic tasks around the house. The next time I go to do an episode, I really wanted to talk about like drills and caulking your own tub and shower, things that like if you mess it up a little bit, it's really not gonna like matter that much. Even drilling, as long as you're cautious with drilling and you're not just like trying to drill through brick with a regular drill bit and not a special bit that goes with your drill in order to do that. You don't want it to overheat. You don't want it to catch on fire. And we'll cover some of that in another episode. But the other thing that I wanted to do now that we're doing this episode is I wanted to talk about the fact that future Becoming Handy episodes, I want to talk more also about car stuff in general. And our number one item today will support that, now that I think about it. But I want people to feel more comfortable, at least feel a little bit more safe and prepared if they do break down on the road. Even if you don't break down, sometimes you will get a flat tire or even just a low tire. Sometimes your tire will get a tiny, tiny little pinprick hole in it. And maybe over time you realize it, and maybe your tire pressure goes off, your tire pressure sensor rather. But sometimes you just need a little boost to get more air in your tire until you can get to a place that will either patch it for you or replace the tire. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about in a second is Fix-A-Flat. Fix-A-Flat has been around forever. Before this, I always carried a Fix-A-Flat in my car, and I still do. And I have one with me, and I am going to link them. They're not part of our top 5 list today, but they are still really important. And I'm going to show it to you in a second for new drivers. If you are a new driver and you've never heard of the product Fix-A-Flat, we will talk about that. And I want to make sure that I talk to the people who know about Fix-A-Flat, but don't necessarily know when you're not supposed to use it. So again, we'll cover that in a second. Anyway, this is from Carson. This is the digital air pressure tool that I have in the car. This back part right here is where you can actually store your cords. So this whole thing, again, it's the same size as my head. How do I do that? It's not important, but it's just funny. Anyway, this cord, for those of you who have never used one of these, basically you are going to put this right beside your tire. You're going to lay it flat on the ground. This little piece right here is not very long. This is actually what you're going to put on the actual tire piece, the little, I should have looked up what it actually is called. The little piece where we actually fill your air. You're going to put that on there, clamp it down. Most of you know that. I'm just telling the people who are younger or who have never done anything like this by themselves. This is super easy to use, by the way. So what you do is you clamp this down. You actually push it down onto the little valve. Gosh, that's what it's called, valve. And then you actually push that down. So again, most of you know that, but that's what that is for. That's a shorter cord. This cord right here is, I believe, 10 feet long. I think that's what the listing said. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to use this as your power source. It's a very long cord, 10 feet. And then this goes in your cigarette lighter. For those of you youngins, that's what the little round piece is by all of your little gadgets on your dashboard. And if you don't know where this goes, if you were born after, let's see, 2008, I'm trying to think of new drivers, because 2010, yeah, you would be 16, but you would start a couple years earlier. You need to know where to plug this in at. Some cars also have a plug-in in the back, which is helpful if you are trying to air up your back two tires. So what I love about this is, again, you actually have to have your car running. So if your car has broken down, then you just call the tow truck. You call your insurance company. And if you feel unsafe, you call law enforcement so that they can come and help you and escort you. But if you just have a tire pressure issue where one of your tires is lower than the others, maybe you know that you have a little bit of a leak, what you want to do, well, so first of all, your car has to be running. You have to have power. So you put this in the cigarette lighter. Most of you know that. I know that. We all know that. I'm just telling the new people. And then the power button is right here. So you flip on the power button. And then this is where you're going to read your tire pressure. So what you can do is you can flip this on. You can put this onto the valve, and then it will read the current setting right here. If you don't know what your tire pressure should be, we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of this 101 stuff. Look on your tire. I think mine are set at like 28 or 30. It's somewhere in that range, but on your tires, it will show you a PSI. What's great about this is you can actually go up or down, and you actually put in the target PSI, and then I think that's when you turn on the button. So you do the power source, you put this on the valve, it will read it, and then you can press the plus sign to go up to whatever number it's supposed to be, and then you turn it on, and then it will go, I'm not going to do it right now, but it makes a really loud sound, and then it's going to air it up to what you want it to be, and when it's done, it just automatically shuts off. It shuts off in the sense of it stops making noise, and then you can turn it off manually. This little guy right here, can't remember how much he was. I believe he was maybe 25, maybe 30. But like I said, it's from Carson. I'm going to link it in the description. If you look here on the back, this guy right here has his own little storage snake type tunnel right here. And you can bring this around. What are you getting stuck on? Oh, because it goes under the thing. So if you have more time to work on this, there's actually, there we go. It went right under. So there's these things right here to keep it in place. So you just kind of snake this around, and then this piece right here will just come back. You can push that little button down so it folds in better, but then you just kind of wrap it around itself. Oh no, just kidding. It goes all the way up. I haven't done this in a while. Oh, okay. Let me start all over here. So this piece stays up, it snakes around, and then it comes up this side. And then if you come around here, then it pops in right here. It's got its own little spot. So I haven't done that in a while, and I know that I can make that better. But for now, we're just gonna leave it like this, where it tucks in right there. So what I would do, see how it swings down here in front of this opening? I would actually bundle this up first and put that in there, and then I would wrap this around. And then this is also going to help keep your longer cord in here. So when you're done and it's all packed up, again, it's the size of my head. So that goes into your car. Now, in the next episode, not in the next episode that we do, but the next episode we do about cars, we're going to talk about car accessories, and that's where I'm going to show you what I keep a lot of this stuff in. I was going to bring it with me today, but I knew this episode would go really long as it was. And there's different options of how you can store a lot of this. If this came with a bag, I don't remember. Sometimes I don't always keep the bags that items come in, and that's just my own personal preference. Sometimes when I start packing stuff in together, because this all folds up in the back, I didn't feel the need to keep the bag if there was one. If there is one, you can certainly plop all that down in there. Sometimes I will take free bags that I get with products and I will use them for other things. So that's a possibility as well. I'm going to point up here for a second, because after this episode, I'm going to put the picture of this listing so you can see what all comes with it. And if there is a bag, you will see it right now. I love doing that. Okay, so number 5 was the Road Hero traffic cones. Number 4 was the Hot Hands hand warmers. Number 3 is the Car Sun air tire pressure contraption. Now we are down to what? Number 2? I can't count. Okay, so number 2 is the product that I said that they no longer carry. I actually haven't investigated to see if this brand still makes this, but this still works for me. So if you see another one in this brand, as long as it has good reviews, I think you're fine. The other thing about the product that comes in at number 2 is budget. You have lots of options for this, and I believe the cheapest option starts at $35 or $36, and I think it goes all the way up to $100 as far as what I'm going to recommend. What does that mean? Well, something popped up in my search that was around $260, $270. It did not have great ratings. All the ones that I'm going to recommend are at least a 4.4, if not a 4.5. And I know that one of the items is a 4.6 or 4.7. So when I show you this item, just know it is no longer available, this specific one. And the alternatives, you're actually going to have a range. So you're going to be able to choose from a $35 option all the way up to around $100. So again, I'm not even going to talk about the brand right now, but this is a digital jumper cable pack. So important. I can think of at least 4 times when I was younger that this not only would have saved me time as far as being able to jump my own car and get back on the road, it would have saved me so much stress, because when you are stranded and it's because of a car battery, it can feel like, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than what it is. I say that because for those of us who have had to go out and replace a battery, it's really not, it's probably one of those things that happens that if you're actually prepared and you're not stuck somewhere, it's kind of like one of those low maintenance, like, oh, that's inconvenient. And yeah, my car only takes a $200 battery instead of a $100 battery. But most of the time you can go to like an AutoZone and you can go in and say, hey, I need to get a new battery. They will come out and tell you which one you need. You purchase it. They come and put it in for you. If not, if you have a place that you like to go to, it's a quick thing for the most part. Now, I don't know all cars, obviously. I know there are some cars that someone's going to come back and say, oh, well, not in my car because you got to take everything out, or, for the most part, from what I understand of batteries, most cars, their batteries are easily accessible. That is beside the point. This little thing right here would have saved me a lot of stress and a lot of time, because I have been stranded in parking garages before because of a battery. I had an issue. Now I'm going to tell this story. This story is also going to help with the number 1 product we're going to talk about today in just a few minutes. So I'm not telling this story necessarily to set up that, but it's certainly going to help when we get to that. But I was in a parking garage one time and the battery was dead. And my car was parked up, when you're in a parking garage, you're kind of like up against the concrete. The person next to me was somebody that I didn't know. I didn't know when they were coming out to get their car. On the right side of me was like a wall, like a concrete wall. And so The person who tried to come and help me had to park on the other side of this car. There was no parking to the right of me, and the front of me was up against a concrete wall. So I literally was blocked in, and my battery had died. The person who had jumper cables parked 2 spots over and even had long jumper cables. And we still struggled trying to get the jumper cables to the right place. If I had this, I literally could have gotten out of my car, unpacked it. It does come in its own little bag. And I did keep the bag because it's in more than one part. You have the actual digital pack. There's the power button. There's a little bitty rubber piece here on the side that has the picture of a car with a hood. You can't miss it. All you have to do is take your fingernail, pop that open, and then here comes this. Look at this. Look how short this is, because you're not trying to stretch it across to another car that's there to help you. You are going to be able to save yourself. You're going to be able to help yourself. So that little bitty rubber piece that we just lifted up, this is what goes in it. So you basically lift up that little rubber piece. And I think I've only had to use this maybe one time. I tend to help other people, and now I get excited if I see someone stranded. Now, before, I used to carry jumper cables, and there were 2 times that I had regular jumper cables, and I helped those 2 people, and we made it work, but it took a long time because I had to park the car at a certain angle. My jumper cables that I carried with me weren't the long ones. They were long enough to go from car to car, but I didn't want to carry the super long ones and then be stuck with all of that in my car. But what you're going to do is you're literally just going to plug A into B. And these have different shapes. So you know that this, and you can actually see it. You can probably see it. This one is almost shaped like a D. You may not be able to tell it right away, but this one is a complete circle. This one over here has a straight edge. And so all you're going to do is you're just going to match those up right there and push in. Once you do that, you turn on the power button, and always be careful with this, you guys. Even if you just have regular jumper cables and you've already put one side on the active running battery that has a charge, you want to be careful of the other side because they're going to be able to pick that up, that current. So if you've never worked with jumper cables before, don't be scared of them. Just know that once you hook up the red and the black to the car that's running, you have to be careful of the set on the other side. And if you pick them both up and you're not careful, you will see them zap together sometimes. I have never been zapped, but I have plenty of times picked them up and have come a little bit too close. So you know that there's a charge. Now, with this guy right here, he comes with a simple USB to USB-C charging cord. So what I do is every so often, and I don't even think I've done it in the last couple of months, I think maybe once a quarter, I would take this in, make sure that it's charged up, and then there's also an output. So there's an input and an output. So I'm assuming that you can charge either way because it does have a USB-C and it has a USB. And let's see. Oh, no, that is input. Okay. So output, well, you can figure it out. You guys know how to charge stuff. Anyway, so it comes with the little charging cable. It comes with the bag. You have the actual pack itself. And then, like I said, you've got these super cute little cables. I mean, look how cute they are. And I know the guys are like rolling their eyes right now and they're like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And then make sure you read the manual when you get it. Read the manual. Plug it in, make sure it has a charge. I would encourage you to, with all of these that are digital products that have to be charged, I would make sure as soon as you get them, You first plug them in, make sure they work. Make sure the charger works. And then if you're able to test it, like with the tire pressure, go test it right away. I'm telling you this now because when we get to the number one product, it's going to be super important that you test stuff when you actually get it. A lot of people will get stuff for their car, and this also goes for their home as well. Some people will order something and they'll say, oh, I'll check it out later. I don't need it right now. And then 6 months goes by and they need it and they go to use it and it doesn't work. The problem is, did it ever work? Maybe it did work, but it sat too long in your car, or maybe it lost its charge. Maybe the batteries went dead. Maybe the batteries were bad. Maybe the product was okay, but then the batteries were bad. So I always tell people, instead of ordering something and letting it sit somewhere for a few months, and then you realize it doesn't work, and then you are past the 30-day return window, as soon as you get it, make sure it works. If any component of it doesn't work, you literally click on return or replace in Amazon within the 30 days, and you get that ball rolling to where they say, okay, you can either keep the product and we'll send you a replacement. We don't need it back. It doesn't make sense for us to have you ship it back if it doesn't work, and we're going to toss it anyway. Or they say, we're going to give you a refund if you want to order it again, or if you want to order a different one. That's what I encourage people to do, because I see it every single day. I see people that let stuff sit and then it doesn't work. And then they're like, I just wasted money. And it's like, you don't have to waste money. If you get something, even if it's something like these, even if you get the hand warmers, I would encourage you to pull one out, open one up, and see if it warms your hands. I say this because there was one time I was getting little toilet scrubby replacements, and I have to get them from Amazon because Target no longer carries them. And so the box was sent to my house. I still had 3 or 4 other scrubbies, and I didn't use them right away. But when I opened up the box, it was probably 3 months after I bought them, but they were a backup. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to open the box yet because they're toilet scrubbies. They go onto the stick, like they're the disposable ones. So when it was time to use them, I opened them up. I put one on my little handle. I went to scrub the toilet and the whole thing just fell apart. It wasn't like it disintegrated. It's just however it was held together to actually get wet and do the job and actually stay intact. It went, and so I ended up contacting the person on Amazon, the company, and I just said, listen, I think I got a bad batch. I know it's past the 30 days. Just wanted to let you know. They ended up sending me the other ones. They're like, hey, if you can just, we'll send you the label, or if you can just take it to UPS, we will take them back. We want to figure out if they sat in the warehouse too long or if there was a problem. We'll make it right. But even if they hadn't made it right, for me, that was only like a $10 investment. So I wouldn't have been out a lot of money. It would have been frustrating to have to order another box and not be compensated for the first one. But at the same time, it wasn't really that big of a deal. It's like I can manage. But I'm telling you, as soon as you get something, unless it's just one thing, unless it's like the big hot hand, you're like, this is it's a quantity of one, which obviously it's not going to be this. But if you order something super specific and you're like, like a fire blanket, or, like the fire ladder I was talking about. And by the way, sorry to go off on a tangent, I did go and add links to that episode. But like the fire blankets came, and the way that you use them is they're all packed up. And if you ever need them, you pull on the tab and they pop out. So I never tested the fire blankets. I hope I never have to. But that is a situation where it's like, okay, I'm just going to trust that there's an actual fire blanket in there. And when I pull on the tab, it will actually come out. Just like a fire extinguisher. You need one. You should have one. If you don't have one, you buy one. I'm sure there are ways to test them. I'm sure, especially if you live in an apartment complex, make sure that, they've been tested and there's the little tag on them. That's fine. I know that there's some things you don't test. You're not going to test, again, we got to come back to this, the Fix-A-Flat. You're not going to test a Fix-A-Flat. It's a one-time thing. It's a one-time deal. So that's fine. But if you get something like this that comes with this, that also comes with this, test it, charge it, because that's part of being prepared. If you get the item and you're not sure if it works, and when you go to use it, you're like, oh, thank goodness I got that product off of Amazon and it's going to help me now. If it's not working, it's not going to help you. Okay. Let's take a super quick break. I'm doing this for the new ad sponsors, but I'm also doing this because I'm losing my light. So you're going to see me get up for a second if you're on YouTube, because I don't care. I'm not going to edit this out. If you are listening on audio, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to fix my lighting situation. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the number one product that you should have in your car emergency kit. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, we now have light. We have very harsh light. Oh my goodness, I don't even know if that's better. Wow, that's bright. This is all I got right now. I'm sorry. This is what we got. Okay, so the number one product that you should have in your emergency car kit is this guy right here. What is this guy? It's this. It's the Blue Driver Pro Scan tool. This right here is the item I was waiting on to do this episode. I knew that I would come across something that I actually couldn't live without for my current situation. Okay, I add that disclaimer. If you are somebody that has a savings, large budget, if something happens with your car, you can afford to take it to whoever's convenient. You're like, oh, something's wrong with my car. You take it in, you pay most places charge $170, $180, $200 to run diagnostics. And then they come out and tell you that it threw up some kind of code. And you're like, okay, what does that mean? And they're like, well, that code means that XYZ is wrong and it's going to cost you X amount to fix it. What's great about Blue Driver, and I literally just came across this product in the last few months, is that this little guy right here, and it's so lightweight, like if you can hear that, it almost looks like a piece that would fall off somebody's car. Because it's so light and it's got those little prongs. If I saw this in a car parking lot and I picked it up and I'm like, this is so light, you may actually think it's just like a piece of packaging. It's so light. Why is that important? Well, if you're keeping a lot of stuff in your car and you want to make sure that you don't have all this bulky stuff that you're trying to move around when you're doing other things, like if you're hauling stuff or if you're moving or if you're just trying to take stuff to storage or take stuff to Goodwill, having something like this, especially this light, you can just put it down in your car console. You can put it in the glove box. I actually kept this little box so that I can put it in there, and that way it's not going to get knocked around while it's in my car console, but you certainly don't have to. I don't think this came with a bag. If it does come with a bag, I apologize. I don't have it out and ready. So basically what this little guy does, let's see. Nope, it came in this. It came in its own, this is why I kept this. This is a really good little box. So it comes in this little bitty styrofoam packed box, and it comes with your little quick start guide. What this is, ladies, for those of you who don't know where this gets plugged into, if you're sitting in the driver's seat and you look down at your left leg, somewhere around where your shin would hit the car, if you lifted up your leg, there is a little area that has prongs, and you probably never have noticed it before. You never really needed to. A lot of times it's where you reach down and you can pop open your hood, and I'm actually doing the motion. It's usually right above that. So if you know where that button is and it's down by your left leg, that is where you're going to plug this in. This little guy right here, all you're going to do, and see how the shape of it, there's a very clear shape. You're going to get down, and you may have to actually open up your car door and get down by the, what do they call it? Shoot, I used to sell cars. I know this. Not the little track, but the running board. Oh my gosh. See, sometimes I start these episodes and I don't even think about those little bitty words that I haven't used in a long time. You may have to get down by your running board so that you can actually see up under there where that little plug-in is. But you just want to line it up to where the shape matches, and you just push it up in there. You literally plug this in, and this will turn blue. Now, what I'm going to tell you, before you actually go find this on Amazon, you go to the description, you click the link, and you go to this one, okay? I am specifically telling you about this one for a reason, budget-wise, and as far as effectiveness. This is the one right here. This is the one that has helped me so much, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But what I want to say is there is another option. If you actually get on Amazon and you type in car diagnostic tool, there's another one that pops up that's around $50. Some people love it, some people don't. That's not really the point. The point is that with that item, you pay $50 to actually get the item, but then you have to pay an annual subscription, and I believe that's $100, because when I first looked at it, I realized that once you actually pay for it, that's not the end of it. You get the item, and then they make you sign up for a subscription. With this one, you do not need a subscription. I have the next generation, I have the Blue Driver Pro Next Generation, which is the newer of the two. Now, it is marked down. As of this morning, it was on sale. And I think it normally goes for like $125, but it was on sale for maybe $97 or $99. I think I paid 90 something as well. The Pro version is the older version, and I have already looked at everything. I've compared everything. They are not really that different. This is just the newer of the two. The reason I'm telling you this first is because this next generation does not have great reviews. And they're recent. When I looked this up, it had great reviews. I can honestly say this. I don't know for sure, but this is my honest opinion. I think while reading through the negative reviews, it's user error. I really think that, because a lot of the bad reviews for this one specifically had to do with people saying the blue light came on, but halfway through of it connecting, the light went off, or it didn't completely scan, or it didn't upload my results. Whatever it was almost like it started to work and then it stopped. I truly believe, and this is just my opinion, you don't have to listen to it. When you put this in, you actually have to make sure that it plugs all the way in. And I think what happens is people kind of push it up there, but they're not down looking at it. I think they're just feeling their way. What I would do with this, and this is what I did, and all of the other reviews that were 5-star reviews, people were like, this was great. I plugged it right in. I downloaded the app. It scanned it. I was able to see if there were any codes that were popping up on my car. I was able to clear codes that I no longer needed. That's another cool thing about this. If the issue has been fixed, but the code hasn't been cleared, if you still have like the light on your dashboard, then this can actually clear it. It temporarily will clear a code, like a light that's flashing. I know this because I have replaced 3 out of my 4 tire sensors in the last year and a half. I didn't want to replace number 4 because I'm getting ready to trade the car in at some point. And the first one went out and I paid a lot for that one. The second one went out, and I've got a really good friend in Indiana that helps me out if I get car stuff done there. She gives me a really good deal. And she said, actually, when we were checking the second one, the third one went out. So she gave me a really good deal to replace the second and third tire sensors that went out. And then the fourth one, my light is still on. And I'm like, I don't care. I am so tired of paying for tire sensors. Anyway, this temporarily cleared it for me, so I didn't have to look at the light. But since it's still an issue, it will come back. But what's great about this is that if you have like really old codes, for instance, a couple of years ago, I think it was, 2 years ago, I went to this place. I'm not going to say who it was. They're great people, but they've messed up a few times, and so I'm not going to go back. And they're super expensive. They're in a very, very, very expensive area, and they charge for it. But they messed up a couple times, and I'm not going to go back. They put in the wrong battery in my car. Now, when I took it back and I said, hey, something is wrong with my car is riding rough. One of the guys rode around with me. And I was like, do you feel that? And he's like, no, I think it's just, downshifting and And I'm like, it feels weird. So then he drove it. He wanted me to drive it so that I could experience what I had been feeling with the car. And so it could happen in real time and I could say, oh, it's that. And then he wanted to be with me. And he's like, I'm not really sure. I think it's just downshifting. And then he took it for a drive and he's like, I don't think so. I don't know if they ever checked to see if any codes were actually coming up. But the next time I took it in a few months later, because I said, listen, something is actually wrong. Something's wrong. And I would really appreciate if you guys could figure it out. They came back out and they said, oh, we just realized, not the guy that drove around with me, but the guy who had put in the battery initially put in the wrong one. And they said, we're sorry, we apologize. Obviously, we're going to put in the correct one at no cost. And I'm like, yeah, you are. But if I had had this and my battery had thrown up a code, I could have saved myself so much time, so much worry. I could have figured out what the code was myself. And then I could have either uploaded that report to ChatGPT. I could have Googled it. I could have figured out what that code was and what it meant. And with this will actually give you a report. And I haven't seen this yet, but I did read from one of the reviews that apparently there are some codes that in the app itself, when the code pops up and it does the report, I guess there's actually a couple of videos that will show you how to fix it. Like if it's a simple fix, I don't know about that part because I haven't done that yet. So I'm just giving that disclaimer that I have not used that. I am not sure. But what I have used this for is I received it and I immediately went and plugged it in. I downloaded the app. As soon as you get this, you run a scan on your car. And that's when it said, okay, there's no active codes other than the tire pressure sensor. And then there's all these old codes. And then what I did, once the report came through, I uploaded that to ChatGPT because I had already put a bunch of car notes in ChatGPT under the car project that I'm working on. And I said, can you analyze this report for me? So it analyzed it because the last time I took my car in, I have 138,000 miles on my car. I have a 2019. By the way, this will read anything that is newer than 1996. I think 1996 is the oldest car that this will read. So the majority of you will be fine. The other part of this is that some cars don't have all the features. Like my car, I can see tons and tons of report options. Like there's a live view that you can do with this. You can plug it in, you open up the app, and I'm going like this because I have my phone up on the dash in a holder. I hit live drive. When you do that, it will actually keep track of everything while you're driving. And you can choose like different options on what you want it to report on. So I think you can pick like 5 categories. So, whether it is RPM or, your engine or your transmission, whatever. But there's also certain subcategories. So what I did was I did the whole scan. I uploaded that to ChatGPT and I said, can you analyze this for me? And then I said, now the last time I went and had diagnostics ran, which was like $180, I got a little bit of a deal on it, but still, it's normally $170, $180. They said, well, we can't figure out what's wrong with it, but what you're telling us are the symptoms. You could be running into transmission issues, and your transmission could fail in a year or two. Now, for a single mom who's driving around with her 12-year-old son, I'm driving back and forth to Indiana to visit my grandpa who is going into hospice. I'm on the interstate. I'm running around, going to client houses. My biggest thing is safety for the car. And so anytime something's wrong, I either want to get it fixed, or if all of a sudden my car is just having nonstop trouble, I want to make sure that I trade it in for something more reliable. I'm really big on doing certified pre-owned vehicles. And so what I'll do is once my car gets to a certain mileage, then I will trade it in for something that isn't brand new, but maybe it only has 30, 40, 45,000 miles on it, but it's like a certified pre-owned. And so I only want to do that if my current car is either paid off or it makes sense to do it. So right now I'm kind of straddling that line between I definitely can't afford a new transmission, but I also don't have my car paid off. And so I want to get to a place where I can trade it in when I'm ready to trade it in, but I also don't want it to break down. Now, this isn't a guarantee. This doesn't mean that, oh, you're fine, nothing bad's going to happen. But what it did do, it did an initial scan when I got it, when I plugged it in. I had a full report of what either was already wrong with it, or in my case, no codes, no active codes were showing. So I got this knowing that right now my car is good. There's nothing major that's popping up. This is important because if all of a sudden you have car trouble and it breaks down, whether you know your mechanic or not, you may have a great mechanic where you live, but maybe you're on vacation and your car breaks down and you have to go to the closest mechanic that is by your hotel or by wherever you broke down, and you're just trusting that they're telling you what's actually wrong with your car. Now, most mechanics will run diagnostics and give you a copy of the report, but like the last place I went to, there was a report of what they believed to be wrong, but then there were also other items on there that they quote unquote recommended that I fix. So it took me some time to figure out like what's actually wrong with the car. And now you're stuck with somebody who's saying, okay, we figured out what was wrong with the car. We need to be the ones to fix it. And this is what we charge. What's great about this is that if your car breaks down, or if you have an issue, or you have a code that pops up, you plug this in, you run the report, you figure out what your code actually is. And from there, you can either call around, like say you are stuck somewhere, but say you're stuck in like a larger city and you're like, okay, I know it's throwing up code XYZ. What you can do is you can go online and you can pick 3 mechanics who have really good reviews, and then you call all 3, and the conversation is completely different. You're not calling in distress saying, oh my gosh, my car broke down. I don't know what's wrong with it. Can you look at it and tell me? Can you get me in? Instead, you are calling around and getting quotes. You are going to call all 3 people and you're going to say, my car is throwing up code number XYZ. Can you tell me how much you charge to either fix that or replace that depending on what's wrong? If it's something that needs to be replaced and you call around and they say, okay, the part is X amount, but the labor is X amount, then you can decide where you want to go, especially if the part is exactly the same. Also, for those of you who have friends and family who know how to fix cars, you can call one of them and say, listen, I plugged in my diagnostics tool. This is what it said. I did a Google search. I asked ChatGPT. This is what it said. Can you explain it to me further? And you may be lucky enough that somebody you know is like, well, I know how to fix that. So this has been very helpful to me because I have done the live drive. I have put into ChatGPT what my symptoms were. Hey, I'm, in low gear going out of a parking lot and the car acts like it doesn't want to accelerate. So then ChatGPT comes back and says, okay, is it acting like it doesn't want to go? Or is it, are the RPMs jumping up high, but the car isn't accelerating? And so it asked me specific things to look for. So what I do is I turn on the live drive, I plug this in, press live drive, and then I literally will drive almost like a test drive. I will literally drive out to the interstate, which is about, 3 or 4 minutes to get to, go on the interstate, speed up to what I need to drive at. I drive to the next exit, get off at the exit, come back around. I do a full spin around the block, so to speak. That way it can see what it's doing as I'm pulling out of the parking lot, as I'm getting up to higher speeds on the interstate, and as I'm slowing down and sitting at a stoplight. And so then once I was finished with the live drive, I saved that file, that CSV. I uploaded that to ChatGPT and I said, can you analyze this for me? Now, I will tell you that this little guy, the app that it comes with that you download, is going to give you a lot of information. For me, I wanted to jump ahead and make sure that not only was the report also being analyzed by ChatGPT, because it also has prior diagnostics for my car from when I went to actual mechanics. So all of that information together made it come back and say, listen, maybe there's something that will eventually be wrong with your car, but for right now, you're not throwing up any major codes. There aren't any big problems. The way that you describe it and the actual report that's coming out from this device, nothing says to me like there's something super urgent or there's something major that's going to happen soon based off of the information that we have. That made me feel so much better, because after leaving the last mechanic and them saying, well, maybe there's something wrong with the transmission, maybe, after them running diagnostics and not having a clear-cut answer, this was the thing that actually made me feel better. So paying for this one time at $100 is not only going to save me the $180 to get diagnostics, it could also save me money when I actually go to get something fixed, because I'm not just relying on one person to tell me what's wrong, and then the person who already has my car in their shop, I'm like at their mercy, because they're like, well, we have your car right now. We know what's wrong with it. This is what we charge to fix it. So then you're just kind of stuck going, okay, unless you want to have it towed somewhere else. So I love this. Again, I love that it has already given me peace of mind. I keep this in the car. If you ever break down, you plug it in and you run the diagnostics on it. You figure out what's wrong, and all of this stuff together as a kit, I recommend every single piece of it. However, if you're in my shoes where you've got an older car, a higher mileage car, this can save you money until you get into a different situation, because sometime in the next year, I'm going to trade in my 2019 for probably like a 2023 or something that has low miles, not brand new, but low miles. I'm also going to take this when I test drive. I can put this in, and as I'm test driving the car I want to buy, it's going to tell me if any codes are popping up. And you don't think that's going to be helpful when you go to negotiate, or you don't think that's helpful when you're trying to get peace of mind that the car that you want to buy actually is running great. This, I think, is going to help more than anything. Everything on the list today, everything that we've talked about is going to help you. I definitely think the jumper cables are great. Air tire pressure is great. The traffic cone, the hot hands, the warmers, all that stuff is going to be helpful. But again, I cannot say enough about this one. Now, the old version, the Pro version that's on Amazon, it is more expensive. It is the older one. I think this one is on sale for like 90 something. The old version is at like 120. And I have gone through everything to see what the difference is. And they both do the same thing. But what you'll notice, because I'm actually going to link both of them. Just remember, this is the newest one. This is the next generation. It's the Pro next generation, and it's the one that's cheaper. But the people who use the Pro, it actually has better reviews. I don't know if it's a connectivity thing. I don't know if the old version was more clear cut, like when you actually plug it in, it's more secure. I have not had trouble with this. I have plugged this in probably 3 or 4 times to do the initial test, to do live drives. I've never had a problem with this being connected and staying connected. The other thing is that if you're working off of a mobile app, it could also be a cell phone problem. It could be an app problem. So when you go on there and you look at the listing, this is the next generation one. It's the cheaper one. I have not had any trouble with it. If you're unsure and you're like, well, I want to go with the older model, that actually has worked out well for a number of people. And hey, why not? Again, what I suggest to you is whatever you buy online, once you receive it, you need to test it out. I don't really think it matters which one you choose to buy. I think the bigger issue is once you buy it, you actually try it out and make sure it works. If it doesn't work, if it's missing any pieces, if it's missing any parts, if anything isn't working, then you immediately return it to Amazon. Because most items on Amazon, you've got 30 days. So I'm not blaming them, but a lot of my clients do this too, where they wait and they wait to try something. It doesn't work. And then they've missed out on that window. And part of that responsibility is theirs for sure, because yeah, it sucks to get a product that doesn't work, but it's still your responsibility to make sure you communicate that to the brand. And like I said before, I have not had trouble with any of these products, with the one product, they no longer make it, but there are at least 3 other options that I'm going to post for you guys in the description that range from, like I said, $35 to $100 for this guy right here. So there will be a really good option. And I think that it comes with these. Something comes with these, because I think that you can also inflate. Yeah, I think you can actually use this one too to inflate. Some of the newer digital jumper cables actually come with its own little piece that inflates the tires. I'm not sure how well that works because it almost seems like it's an add-on. I still really love this guy right here. So in the whole scheme of things, this kit does not take up very much space. You could actually get just one zip bag, like a plastic bag that has a handle, and you could put everything in it. And that way, if you've got to move stuff, if you've got to shift stuff around in your car, it makes it easy to do that. I'm going to link all of these products. I'm going to even link the Fix-A-Flat because it's on sale on Amazon, I think for $8. The last thing I was going to say about Fix-A-Flat really quick, for those of you who get a flat tire, okay, if you have no other choice, Fix-A-Flat, and someone can tell you how to work this. We can even talk about it in the next car handy episode. This actually goes onto that little valve on your tire, and then you press the little button and it goes psh, and it shoots all of this foam stuff into your tire, all of this foam. The problem is that when you do that, and this is what I've heard from a number of people, I could be wrong, but when you do that, it pretty much ruins the tire. It cannot be fixed. So let's say you get a nail in your tire and it goes flat. And let's say that if you just get the car towed and they're able to patch it, they're like, okay, it's just a tiny nail. We pulled it out. It was in a place where we were able to patch it. It's not going to cost that much money. And then you're good. You're good to go. You don't have to get a brand new tire. With this, once you choose to use this, then you cannot get the tire patched. So I want to just go ahead and say that because I do keep this in my car, and I do also have the digital tire pressure inflator thing. But if you aren't sure if your tire can be repaired or not, or patched or not, and you've got help on the way, I would not immediately jump to this. To me, this is more of an emergency situation where maybe you are stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you ran over something and you don't have the tire pressure thing to at least give you some more air to be able to get to a safer location. Or if the tire is really old and you want to replace it anyway, or you're about to get at least 2 new tires because you got to do 2. You either have to do 2 or 4. They come in pairs. Then you could do this as a last resort. But I do think that this is very helpful. This has helped me out of a couple of different jams. But that's also when you learn that the tire can't be patched. So it is what it is. Okay, guys, I hope this episode was helpful. Like I said before, we're going to have the links to all these products in the description. Any one of them is going to help you put your emergency car kit together. I highly recommend all of them. I definitely think that this one right here is not only going to save you time, it's going to save you money and stress, which is great. That's what we love to do here. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Labeled Organizing. Check out the new website at thelabeledorganizingpodcast.com, and we will see you in the next episode.